close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Ger McCarthy, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Star Sport podcast. I'm Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Ger McCarthy. On today's show we'll be joined by the latest in a long line of Skibbereen rowing siblings when twins Jake and Fintan McCarthy stop by for a wide-ranging chat about their goals over the next 18 months.
We will also chat to Ger McCarthy, who was at the Baltimore Road on Sunday to see Dunmanway Town beat Ballydehob on penalties to clinch the West Cork League Premier Division title in dramatic circumstances.
But Kieran, let's not bury the lead any further. We were joined in studio yesterday by Skibbereen rowers Jake and Fintan McCarthy, and you had an incredibly enjoyable chat with the two lads. For our listeners who aren't 100% familiar with their story, can you maybe tell us a little bit about the two lads?
Yeah, Jake and Fintan, two twins from Affadown.
Two twins as opposed to two triplets.
They're two twins who are the same age, which is there's a story in that. But they're from Affadown, which is the same parish that Gary and Paul O'Donovan are from, and Dominic Casey, their coach. So Affadown is a superb breeding ground for rowers over the last couple of years. So basically, Jake and Fintan they're the latest line, I think, in the success story that is Skibbereen Rowing Club. That the rowing club's been very lucky over the years. It had the Coakley brothers, Eugene and Richard, going back into the noughties, who rowed for Ireland at the Olympics. Obviously, we all know Gary and Paul O'Donovan's story, Olympic silver medalists and current world champions. Now we've Jake and Fintan McCarthy, who are chasing down Gary and Paul, which is what makes this story all the more intriguing, Jack. As we all know, next year's Olympics 2020, Gary and Paul O'Donovan want to go there and they want to qualify the boat this year and they want to go win gold. But two Skib lads, Jake and Fintan, want to get in that boat too. So it's an incredible position to be in. We have four Skibbereen lads battling for two places in the one boat, and I even think for Gary and Paul to have that competition is absolutely fantastic, especially in the year that it is. It's an Olympic kind of qualification year, so they have trials coming up in a couple of weeks, so it'll be very interesting there. But Jake and Fintan have come up through the ranks at Skibbereen Rowing Club. They've rowed under 23 Worlds. Been at Senior Worlds. They're very much on an upward trajectory. At a recent international regatta in Italy a couple of weeks ago, I won't even try to pronounce the name because I can't. They won bronze there, and they finished behind, I think it was the Belgians and the Italians, who finished just behind Gary and Paul in last year's World Final. So great stuff. They've a great story. Two really, really nice lads. So without further ado, Jack, I think it's time to hear from the two boys. Welcome. Skibbereen Rowing Club is obviously synonymous with rowing brothers over the years. There was Gary and Paul O'Donovan, of course. They were world champions and Olympic silver medalists back in 2016. But before them, we had the Coakley brothers, Richard and Eugene, who themselves were Olympians. And now we have Jake and Fintan McCarthy, who, like the O'Donovans and the Coakleys, are a powerful combination in the lightweight double. But lads, even advantage over the rest of them. You're twins, you're powered by twin power. So before we even get started, I think the big question is who arrived first? Who's the oldest?
Well, Jake's the oldest by minutes, isn't it? A minute and 20 seconds, I think, or something like that. Yeah, so Jake arrived first, but I suppose I was the first on the rowing scene. Yeah, like we'd done a bit in primary school and stuff. You know, the schools program. We were at Kilcoe, so we 5th and 6th class, I think we did a bit of rowing and summer camps too. Mm-hmm. And then there was kind of a lull after that. I didn't really pick it up again then until 2012, I think it was. So I was in 2nd or 3rd year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I just, at first it was just a way to keep in touch with like my primary school friends, because I went to Skull, so they were obviously all in Skibbereen. So yeah, it just started out that way and then kind of just never gave it up.
Because you followed 12 months after, wasn't it? You were kind of.
I basically used it as a tool to get fitter for soccer and football, because I was really, really into them beforehand. And so yeah, I just started doing rowing for some extra training, is what it began as. And obviously I really like the competitiveness of it, and I just got kind of more and more hooked into the sport, and then actually decided to give up the other two for the rowing in the end.
When Fintan was rowing for those 12 months first, were you very interested to kind of see what he was up to? Like, what was it about it that kind of drew you in?
Well, I always had training, and Finn was just at home the whole time. So when he started kind of training, every day, because you wouldn't obviously train every day with like soccer and football really. So I was kind of like, oh, what's this about? Like, why does he need to go training every day? Like, and then so I kind of just got an interest in that way, just to see, the discipline that was involved in it, and it kind of just went from there really.
It's fair to say too, and I think you've mentioned in interviews that Fintan, you're the sporty one. Oh no, sorry, Jake, you're the sporty one, Jake, aren't you? Kind of.
It's sportier than me, alright.
Yeah.
And what was that? Was that soccer, football, everything around here? Was it?
Basically, yeah. Soccer and football, really. Yeah, I was just really into that before I took up rowing.
And rowing was always just rowing for you. Did you ever play soccer, football, any other sports?
Like under 10, and I was terrible. So yeah.
So it's like the typical rowing story, like no coordination with a football and stuff. That
pretty much fair to say that. Yeah. Just nothing ever materialised from any of those sports for me, really. Like, I didn't do anything, to be honest, between, I'd say, the end of primary school and until I started rowing, and like, unless you're in PE obviously, but nothing.
And when did you start to realise then that Jesus were quite good at this, that they were able to move fast on the water?
I don't know, was there really like an exact moment that we thought? I kind of was just that we were improving, we were getting better and better, as the months went on, as we were training more. And but like, when you start out, you can only do a set amount of training, and as you kind of get fitter and physiologically better, you're able to handle an increased training volume, which in turn makes you, that bit better. So I think it was kind of a gradual process. Like, we'd see our 2K times getting better on the rowing machine, and I don't know, was there a really assess?
Like, the thing is as well, especially in Skibbereen, it's like everyone who's come before you has done like unreal things. So you win a national championship and it's great, but it's not like, oh wow, you're amazing, you're a national champion, because there's like Olympic champions, world champions. So yeah, it's just like it's good to have them as a benchmark as well. You can see, oh, I'm the same speed as this person was this year, so it's good that way. You can.
It's kind of fair to say too, the way that Gary and Paul used to speak about kind of looking up to Eugene and Richard Coakley, kind of they were the benchmark for them, and Gary and Paul, and obviously Diarmuid and Shane when they were younger, they were chasing them. But when you came along then, were you kind of looking up to Gary and Paul in almost the same way, kind of you were chasing them in a similar way?
Yeah, I remember when I first started, they were I think the year after I started, Paul won bronze in the under-23s in single, and Gary and Shane were in the double. So we'd be training, I was in a quad at that stage, I think, a junior quad, and we'd be training with them during the summer. So yeah, it was good. It was that kind of way. We were trying to beat them in the quad, they were in the double, so we were just training with them that way. So yeah, chasing them, I suppose you could say.
Have they shown us very, maybe attainable is the wrong word, but like they're world champions, Olympic silver medalists, but like you do the same kind of training program, you follow the same routine. Have they kind of shown to you like there's a path here right to the top? If we keep doing what we're doing, there's nothing to stop us. Well, touch wood, kind of going a long way.
Yeah, like I think as well, when you like I'm finding anyway, every year longer that I'm in the sport, I'm finding more knowledge about myself and about what works for me training wise, and what, there's different training plans that we set out with Dominic and look to see what we can improve physiologically and technically. And basically you do a training block, you have a trials, or you have a race or whatever, and you can see if you perform well, you obviously you can say, oh, it's down to this training. There's a whole lot of other factors to come into play, but you can just kind of have confidence in something that you've done from past experience. And you might use that again, going forward because it's worked for you in the past. So that kind of way, you're basically just getting more knowledge.
But to answer your question as well, I think, it's good that we know that it works, kind of. Like you can really get behind it and believe in what you're doing, and that it's going to make you good because it has seen so many good results in the past.
It always interests me with rowing because it's such a mentally and physically demanding sport. How do you keep coming back year after year after year? Because it's one of the hardest sports there is, and I don't think people appreciate how mentally physically tough it is. So
it's very tough.
So why come back? Why row?
I don't know. It's questionable, really. Like I'd say every rower, to be honest, asks themselves the question as well, because if you'd see articles, with GA players complaining and saying, "Oh, we train so hard," 4 times a week, we train 4 times a week every week, and you're just looking at it oh my god. But I think it's just, I'd say you could just say we're kind of addicted to it. You become addicted to it, and if you have a day off, you're kind of just oh, I don't feel great here. I feel kind of like a lump. Why am I going to try? So I'd say it's partially an addiction, really. But also, the buzz of racing as well kind of lures you back and makes all the long miles kind of worth it in the end. So
what is a typical week training at the moment?
Well, to be honest, I haven't done too much the past few weeks because we've had exams, but before that we were on camp in Italy, and we did just a ridiculous amount. We were upwards of 260 kilometers a week on the water. I suppose you split that into 13, 14, probably 13 sessions a week, and then that's including two weight sessions I think we were doing as well, and then sometimes we do 3 weight sessions, sometimes we do 2, so about 13 sessions a week.
Jeez, it's tough going, and as well, because I kind of mentioned earlier that you're lightweight rowers, so you have to it's the 70 kg average in the lightweight double. How do you keep your weight down, or do you have to kind of manage your weight? Because over the winter, I know it could go up a couple of kgs, and then when it comes into the season, then you bring it back down. Do you watch what you eat? Have you a strict diet, or are the two of you pretty handy in kind of keeping it close to that magical 70 mark?
Yeah, well, I suppose, to be honest, we don't fluctuate too much away from it, really. The heaviest we'd be is probably 74, 70. You'd be 75 sometimes, and I'd be a bit light in that then. So we kind of sit around that for the winter, and it's not too hard to lose, the last couple of kg during the summer. Now, there are some people that do struggle, but I don't think we have many problems with it, really.
No, if we say we wanted to eat a ton of calories, we'd match that by doing a ton of training. We'd be burning it off, and then as you come into racing season, you're doing less training, so you don't need to eat as much to fuel yourself. So you kind of gradually come down that way, and then you just kind of sweat if you need to the last bit of it, which is always doable.
Are you allowed some treat foods like a sneaky pizza now and again, or is it very much?
Yeah.
I'd say when we're not too close to competition, we can eat more or less what we want, really, because we're doing so much training.
It's the volume. You're just burning so many calories that you need the food, really. You need to make sure that you're fueling for those long sessions, and then as Jake said, coming into racing, if you're tapering down and resting, you don't need to eat as much, so you get it's just natural, really.
Now, I mentioned Gary and Paul earlier, and obviously Eugene and Richard, but the fact you're brothers, does it make it easier to kind of row together? Because I presume there's no filter there. If one of you's not happy with the other, I presume there's no holding back as such.
Definitely no holding back anyway.
You'd hear a lot of people kind of comment on it. They would hear us. They're not necessarily even on the river, but they hear us if they're on land and hear us shouting on the river. But we just think it's normal. We're just that's what we do every day,
It's funny, they'd be kind of nearly taken aback or shocked by it, and we obviously don't think any of it, and then they'd be like, "Oh lads, you were killing each other today on the river," and it's a normal day for us. But we don't really take ourselves too seriously that way. We just give out to each other and then it'll be fine after.
Yeah.
Is there one of you more vocal than the other? Or is there one of you more cranky than the other, put it that way?
I'd say I have more volume, but Finn has more, gut punchers.
The low blows.
but the fact you are brothers, like, kind of, how much does that help in a boat then in terms of like same size, body composition, styles, and so on? Kind of like putting the filters and to the side for a moment. How much does it help? The fact that you are twins, I suppose, even better again. Does it, or does that have a benefit? Or
I'd say it probably does, really, because say if we're rowing someone that's really tall, they might have different settings in the boat to us. So we basically just hopped in the boat and we were more or less the same. Our angles that we were going through, the drive phase of the stroke was kind of similar, and I think. Yeah, I think it does. It does.
It's just kind of easier that way. That there's not too much that we need to
change.
There's not too many different settings in the boat. Whereas if you have a tall person and a short person in the boat, you need to change like we call it the span. It's like the distance between the two gates of the oars if you're sculling, or just technical stuff like that, and height, like handle height and foot height, and there's a whole load of settings in the boat that would need to be changed if there was like people of two different heights rowing. But
you're obviously as well, like Gary and Paul and Eugene and Richard before, you're lightweight rowers, and you're in the lightweight double. What is it about the double that you like?
To be honest, I think it's just because it's the only Olympic class boat left now. That's why we've kind of gravitated towards that. We were in the quad last year because the lads were in the double, and that was enjoyable. Like,
like if that was at the Olympics, we'd have no problem, going into that. But obviously, the double's the only one at the Olympics, and that's kind of the pinnacle of the sport. So that's obviously what we're gonna be trying for.
Is that the big goal at some point? You hope, like for like all rowers here in Skib, like you'd love to get to become Olympians. Like five have done it before. You'd love to add your names to that list.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Is 2020 too soon, or is that a target?
Yeah, I'd say, to be honest, it is a target. Like, you always feel kind of stupid saying it because it's such, like, when you take a step back and look at it, it is a big goal. But yeah, I suppose it would be the target, alright, yeah.
We'll just see how, the season goes. See how the trials go in the end of June. And we have to trial, on a monthly basis. So even if there is a boat that is going to this year's World Champs, that's not necessarily the boat that will be at the Olympic Games next year. So I think, just keep training away and see where it goes. But it would be a target. Because
you've been on a fantastic kind of upward curve and upward trajectory the last couple of years, and even this year so far, you got a super bronze, wasn't it, over in Italy there a couple of weeks ago, and then you had a win at the Skib Regatta there 2 weeks ago. So you're definitely kind of moving in the right direction. So are you very happy with where you are right now, kind of, and the momentum you have behind you?
Yeah, I think we've made good progress this year. Alright. We came 5th at the under-23s last year, which was a bit disappointing because we kind of fancied ourselves to do a bit better there. But I suppose that's just what happens. But I think we have made some pretty good progress this year. Like, we're both a lot stronger and fitter than ever before. So. And then we were close enough to the Italians and the Belgians in Pedluco, who would have been like the silver and bronze medalists from the Worlds last year behind the lads. So I think we just try to keep taking steps in the right direction. And we've Europeans then coming up at the end of the month, so that'll be a good test again. What
is the plan so for this year? Kind of like, the final trials are still a small bit away. Kind of, do you know what regattas you're going to go to yet in terms of World Cup regattas or the Europeans, or do you know what the plan is? Or
not really. I think what we know at the moment is that we'll be going to European Championships in the double, and that's at the end of the month. So I assume that is a result there might have a bearing on the regattas that come later on. But at the moment, all we kind of know is the Europeans, and then we have the trials, which will probably then
decide the boat for the World Championships.
But the fact that you're going to the Europeans in the double, isn't that a great chance for you to almost lay down a marker or such, you know, kind of?
Definitely, yeah.
Kind of, is that the hope to go over there, pull out a few big performances and go as well as you can?
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Like, I think previously we've been really results focused. Like, we've got to go and win the thing. So I think this time we're going to try to take a different approach and just focus on, you know, getting through each round and doing the races as best we can and see, does that give us a better result in the end. So like, obviously we want to go and win it, but
it is a big step up, you know, from under 23 to senior level. And this year, more so than other years, every country is going to be putting their 2 best guys in the double, because this is qualifying year. So this is a vital year for every country going forward for the Olympic Games. So I think we'll just take the different approach of going as fast as we can, and, you know, we'll be happy if we come second last and give the best race that we've ever given before, you know, as opposed to.
But I don't think we'd be happy with that. But
well, you know what I mean.
You'd be confident that you've done the best you can. Yeah.
Because like you said, Jake, it's Olympic qualification year, and you wanted to get to the Olympics, and it's the lightweight double. But there's a small matter of Gary and Paul are the 2 current mints. They're sitting in that boat at the moment, and they are the world lightweight double champions. But that's your target. You want to compete against Gary and Paul to try and get into to win one of those 2 seats.
Yeah. Well, I think if you obviously if you want to be the best in the world, then you have to beat everyone. In other countries and in your own country. So it's just the same as every other country, really, I think, except it's just that the standard is that high. So it's good that way, in that you know, like, if you're in it, you're going to have a pretty good chance of doing really well. So I think that's good. Yeah.
And it probably helps too that you're training with some of the best athletes in the world, like people that rowers, you know, who are world champions. And like you said, you're going to be at a certain level then to kind of match them. So that's a positive too.
Yeah, it's good that way. We do a lot of training where we compare, we call it prognostics. So it's looking at our times based on world best times or gold medal standard times. So you'd get a percentage of gold medal time, then you can compare that to, say, the likes of Gary and Paul or Sunita or, you know, Mark and Shane, they're world champions, you know. So you kind of know you're going well, or if you're not going well, just comparing those. So
Isn't it incredible again that the Skibbereen Rowing Club, another 2 top athletes going forward, 2 top rowers, and like I said, Mark and Shane world champions, kind of Gary and Paul and world champions, Denise European silver medalist, and even going back to the generations before, and yet here we are, another 2 rowers kind of touch wood, trying to kind of to make their mark in the world scene. And I suppose a lot of that comes back to Dominic Casey. So he must be pretty excited about the year ahead and the potential, because he's so many local skip athletes kind of vying for those positions. So
I think he's pretty confident that specifically for the double, whatever 4 athletes do make it at the end of the day, have a really good chance of a medal. So I think he's pretty excited about that. And also, you know, his other little projects that he has going on with the women's double. So I think he's excited for the year ahead.
If only one of you got into the boat, how would the other feel? Kind of if it's splitting up the twins, like kind of. Would there? I know you'd wish each other the best of luck. Would it be like, oh, jeez, I wish that was me?
To an extent, I think, like, it's kind of funny in that when I think about it now, that is the way I'd feel. But you know, after a race, you kind of have to be kind of congratulating and being. You have a sense of, you know, fair enough. You're actually the faster person. So I'd say it wouldn't be that bad at the end of the day.
Like
you have respect for the other person, you know, because you're training just as hard as them, and they, at the end of the day, they're faster. So
how competitive are you with each other? Kind of what's the rivalry like?
Well, it's a lot of banter as well. I don't know, it's been more banter really. But
I don't know, you were too happy there when I beat you the other day. So
that's all coming out now.
It was after exams.
It's just, we are competitive, I'd say. But it's good. It's good to have that, I think.
You said your exam, so are you in college? What are you studying and where are you?
Well, I've just finished. I was doing physiology in UCC, so I've just finished up my 4 years there. So
I was doing economics in UCC, so I finished that this year as well. We were in final year this year, so we're done college now.
What's the plan? The big bad world kind of is that been put to the side for the moment while you're just concentrating on your own and then.
I think the plan is next year take a year out from college and studies and focus on rowing, because this might be the last Olympics for lightweights. So we kind of just thought, put all the eggs in one basket for this next year and see how we go, so we don't have any regrets going forward. Then we can worry about the working life after that.
You've actually preempted one of my final questions. It's about the fact that next year it could be the last year that there is lightweight rowing in the Olympics. And at the moment there is that one boat for men, the men's double. Yeah. So what is the plan? Have you even looked past that? Kind of like, would you ever think of stepping up, kind of like Mark and Shane did, or are you?
I've been thinking about this recently. It's just, it's hard to know now how you're going to feel down the line. Obviously, like, we love rowing. I'd probably keep rowing for the rest of my life if I could, but it is a difficult transition. The heavyweights are just so powerful and tall, but then you do see, like, the lads are pretty close, especially at the World Championships, to the heavyweight double, like a final standard at least. So it would be it would be a difficult transition, I think, but I suppose you just don't really know how you're going to feel after, just depending on like what happens, really, I suppose.
Hopefully lightweight stays for another cycle.
I was going to say, like, because lightweight rowing, like, it's been like Ireland, it's been such a good sport to Ireland over the years, going back to all the Olympics, back to 2004, did the lightweight 4 in the final, and kind of 4 years later Richard Coakley was in the B final there, and obviously Gary and Paul back in 2016 won in the lightweight double. Like, it's been such a fantastic kind of, I suppose, avenue for Irish rowers, and it'd be such a shame to lose the lightweight rowing, wouldn't it?
Definitely, it's been, especially in the history of Skibbereen, it's been such a big thing. But the bigger picture is that, the IOC don't want it there, and I think each country gets a vote on it. Is that, I'm not really sure of that, how it works. But obviously for definitely this country, it would be a big loss for the scene, for the sporting scene in the country. But But you're hopefully, if it does bout next year, that you're hoping that you're there for the for its final swan song. That's the big dream, isn't it? Anyway, that's the goal. So next couple of weeks, so Europeans, after that, then it's final trials, and then kind of just see what happens, is it? So I think the final trials will decide the lightweight men's double and the lightweight men's single. So there'll be 4 of us for 3 seats. So I suppose one of us is going to be disappointed, but that's just the way it goes. I suppose there's only 3 positions, so. And it's probably important to know too, and I could be wrong here, but let's say that all going well, the Irish lightweight double qualifies at this year's World Championships, but that's the boat that qualifies, but the personnel can change up to next year. So even whatever 2 qualified a boat in August, September in Austria this year, it can all change still. There's still a chance to kind of to get to next year's Olympics, so which is good too, you know. It's definitely good for, the fact that we have to keep training to and be on form to get back in the boat. I think you can't really back off the training as such, because you might lose your place. So it's good for motivation for to stay on the horse and keep going up until Tokyo. No, brilliant. Jake, Fintan, thank you so much for coming in, and best of luck for the season ahead, and best of luck with the Europeans too. Cheers. Thanks, Kieran.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
On Sunday afternoon last at the Baltimore Road, new West Cork League Premier Division champions were crowned when Dunmanway Town beat Ballydehob on penalties in an unlikely playoff for the league title. And earlier on, Kieran caught up with soccer correspondent Ger McCarthy, who was at the game.
We're joined now by our resident soccer expert, Ger McCarthy, to have a chat about the 2019 West Cork League Premier Division playoff final. Ger, it was on in Skibbereen on Sunday. Dunmanway Town and Ballydehob were both involved. And considering how tight the title race was and how little there was between the best teams in the league this year, I suppose it's no surprise that it went all the way to penalties before Dunmanway Town came out on top.
Yeah, it's not really when you think about it, because the two they played each other twice in the Premier Division this year and drawn with each other, so there was nothing between them coming into it. It was expected to be tight, it was expected to be tense, but it was actually, considering it was 0-0, it was actually quite a high quality game. And considering there's a huge crowd there, which is fantastic to see. Great setting in Skibbereen as well. Pitch was in immaculate condition. So credit to Skib and Ollie again, Skib AFC, for having it in such good nick. And there was a game just before it as well, the under 18 cup final, which was won by Lyre, which was a very, very good quality. Two good games. Maybe not the goal mode action you'd be hoping for, but understandable in the circumstances. But I think over the course of what has been, in the week that was in it, across the water and things that were happening in the Champions League and in the Premier League on Sunday as well, the West Cork League had equal drama in that it went the full 90 minutes, it went to extra time, and it went down to penalties. And I was delighted for Stephen Daly, the Dunmanway goalkeeper, because in their final game in their last game against Drina, it's not that he played badly, but Drina got a pretty fortunate goal to get the draw and make Dunmanway have to go to a playoff with Ballydehob, but he made a fantastic save in the penalty shootout. And then Mark Buckley, who has served that club for a long, long time at schoolboys level and is back playing with them again, stepped up and stuck it away. And the contrast in the elation and the excitement and the delight and relief for Dunmanway was one thing, but your heart would go out to Ballydehob, to Mike Helen, and to huge crowd that came out to support them as well last Sunday. Ballydehob have been the reason that the three-way run for the title this year between Drina, Ballydehob and Dunmanway, they've contributed hugely. It's great to see them back at the top end of the table, but they were just broken-hearted at the end. And my real hope is that they stick together and come back again next year, because if they do, I think we are, with Doris coming up, and with Clontown and with Lyre and Clan AFC looking to kind of rebuild again next year, we could be in for another cracking Premier Division title race, even better than this year. But at the end of it, fair play to Dunmanway. They've John Buckley, Andrew Healy have done huge amount of work behind the scenes. Their players have been brilliant all the way through the year, and they just about deserved it, I think, considering the defending champions, Drina Rangers, did not lose a game, and Drina still managed to hold off Ballydehob and win the title. I think they just about deserved it over the season.
I suppose for John Buckley there, like you said, Dunmanway Town manager, also a Liverpool supporter who wasn't cheering. Things didn't work out too well for his beloved Liverpool across the water on Sunday, but they went a lot better for Dunmanway. And like you said, they are deserving champions. It's been such a tight and epic title race here in the West Cork League Premier Division, and for Dunmanway to come out on top over defending champions Drina Rangers, and then a very, very, very good Ballydehob team. Dunmanway are deserving champs, aren't they?
They are, and I think the beauty of their team this year compared to other years, with the greatest respect, a lot of players have retired over the last couple of years, great stalwarts that have helped them and kept them going. But what Dunmanway had this year was they had a mixture of pace and experience. And at the back, Stephen Cahan and Stephen O'Donovan were outstanding. Their goalkeeper, Stephen Daly, was a real bonus for them this year throughout the season. And then you've got the likes of Mark Buckley, you've got Barry O'Donovan, you've Cahill Daly, you've Cahill O'Donovan. What they had this year was they had the legs to run for the full 90 minutes and beyond, where in other seasons, with the greatest respect, they may not have had that. Drina have always been a kind of thorn in their side, but they managed to hold them off this year. And I think the fact that they didn't lose to Drina that last day in Mahona, when they were down a goal with about a quarter of an hour to go, they had to score to keep themselves in the title race. The fact that they managed to bounce back and get that goal, you could see the difference in the confidence levels this year compared to a couple of years. Now, they won it a couple of years ago, but compared to last year, definitely. And I think John and I think Andrew have done an awful lot of work with them and set them up properly. They've had players coming in and out. They've had players, but they've always had enough within their squad to field a strong team week in, week out. And you need to do that. You take one look at Ballydehob, you take one look at Drina. It's no coincidence that the teams at the top are the ones with a bit of depth and the ones with subs that can come on and change the game at different times. But it was a great year for West Cork League football. to have such a really, really good and quality title race. There was nothing in any of the games that we covered, which you would have read in the Southern Star, down through it. There was nobody pulling away from anybody at any stage of the season. And if you're Drina, I mean, well, you finish the season, it's like Liverpool a little bit. You do just about everything, but you still not enough to get over the line in the end. And the fact that will boost them now to come back next year again, even stronger, should make for hopefully an even more exciting title race.
Like you said there, it's been an exceptional season for the West Cork League, and it's not over yet. I know there's 1 or 2 games left in cup competitions. But if you look at it as a whole, with Dunmanway Town winning the Premier Division title, Doris winning 3 trophies, including the championship title, Togo Celtic winning the Beamish Cup for the first time in 22 years. Great season for West Cork soccer, Ger.
Yeah, and like we were covering it in the Southern Star. I mean, there's just the drama of the Beamish Cup final day and the outpouring of emotion for a rural team like Tor, who've been knocking on the door for so many years. That will live with me forever, because it was just lovely to see them do it and to beat Drina, and again a team that had been a thorn in their side for an awful long time. It's not that they didn't respect them, but or fear them, but they always respected them. That was huge for Tor, and that will boost them, because they'll want to crack off the league now next year. They weren't that far away. It's only the last 5 or 6 weeks they kind of drifted off a little bit. And then, as you said, between Dunmanway winning the league, between Tor winning the cup, and all the things that go with it this year with the West Cork League, having a title race always just, it builds interest. It keeps people, it attracts a lot more people, a lot more eyeballs to it, which is good for the long-term future of it, of the division of soccer in West Cork. But I think what struck me this year compared to the other years I've been reporting on it is the quality of the games at the top end. Like Ballydehob in the cup, and I covered them a couple of times for the Southern Star. They were very, very good. It was Toher ended their cup run on the way to winning the cup. And again, like with Drina and with Dunmanway, and then you have the fairy tale. I mean, we wrote about it last week in the Star. Has there ever been a team promoted to the Premier Division better suited and better prepared than Doris? Because whatever about the momentum that was behind Dunmanway and Ballydehob, I'm telling you, next year, Doris, having spoken and interviewed Tygo Sullivan on a couple of occasions, the manager, they are not coming up to make up the numbers. They are coming up. They're not saying they're going to be title challengers just yet. I wouldn't rule it out. But I think they're a team to watch again next year. And more often than not, you see the likes of Spartak, Musgrove and Lyre coming up. They struggle for maybe a year before they find their feet. Not with Doris. Doris will hit the ground running next year. And they are, like, with the amount of trophies they won, with the crowds that they attracted as well. Again, another rural club looking to push on, like Ballydehob, keep it all going, like Tor. It's important for them that they're attracting positive headlines. It's important that they're getting people behind the scenes, getting involved with the club to keep it all going, because it's a huge commitment. It has been probably one of the best years, I suppose, for stories and for narratives. I don't think we've ever had a year like it in the West Cork League. And as you said, it isn't finished yet. But hopefully the league will build on it again next year, and we'll have even more headlines to report on.
We'll have a break, obviously, now with the West Cork League coming to an end very, very soon. But we still have soccer over the summer period. Last time we talked about the schoolboy soccer moving to its summer calendar. But since then, there's been developments elsewhere, Ger. With the Dublin District League, is it kind of that they're opting out of summer soccer? So what does that mean, I suppose, for West Cork's decision to go to the summer soccer route in the first place? And what does it mean for the overall experiment of summer soccer?
That's a very good question. Well, where we are at the moment is that in 2020, the rule was, according to the Schoolboys Federation, SFAI, Schoolboys FAI of Ireland, they visited every Schoolboys League last year, including West Cork, and said, in 2020, everyone is moving to a new calendar season. And that being, you can start your league no earlier than March and finish it no later in November. So you're pretty much playing through most of the summer. Prior to that, Donegal, Clare and Dublin were picked as 3 pilot schoolboys leagues. The DDSL, Clare and Donegal, for 3 years, they piloted this idea of playing through those summer months. It was very difficult at the start in all 3, but in Clare and Donegal, it has proven a success. They have record numbers playing now, and they can prove that. Dublin, unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, in the midst of an awful lot of off-field shenanigans with the FAI that we don't have time to get into, Dublin have always been a law unto themselves, in my opinion. That's my opinion now. That's not the Southern Stars or the West Cork Schoolboys Leagues. They look after the biggest number of players, fair enough, and they also have the most dealings, I think, with cross-channel clubs. So there's an awful lot of, to be fair to them, there is an awful lot of external factors which might be, impinging on this idea. But they have come out in recent weeks and said no, that they are not going to change, that they're going to stick with the traditional September to May, which is what the West Cork Schoolboys League always did. So where we currently, and I'm hearing, I'm hearing, but it's not confirmed, that the Cork Schoolboys League are likely to follow, are likely to do the exact same. So what does that mean? It means that West Cork has already moved this year. They've started. The leagues are up and running, as you read in the Southern Star week in, week out. They've started in April with the idea of finishing before November so that they'd be ready for next year when everybody moved. But what we're seeing now is that there is uncertainty in the SFAI about what happens next. So I do know from speaking to people in the West Cork Schoolboys League circles, they've asked for direction, they've asked for advice, and they've gone to the SFAI and said, look, we started. If everyone else isn't moving, what do you want us to do? What are we supposed to do? Should we stop? Should we keep going? So there's a lot of uncertainty. But for now, the West Cork Schoolboys League will continue with their March, November for 2019 until they're told otherwise. Has it been easy? No. And I've been on social media quite a lot defending the decision, getting behind the idea of what is known as summer soccer for all the reasons that we went over in the last podcast. But what I'm hearing from parents in West Cork, and let's be honest about it, I'm being fair here down the line, is it's proving hugely problematic because the guys and the girls that want to play soccer have hurling, football, training and matches the same week. And it's stretching parents and it's stretching players maybe than they wouldn't have normally been used to at very young ages, 12, 13, 14. Will it sort itself out? It may do. Will the West Cork Schoolboys League be forced to backtrack? Not backtrack, sorry, but will they be forced under the new SFAI ruling, if they ever come out and make one, that they're to restart in September and go through the winter months? The honest answer at the moment is I don't know. Until there is better direction and better ruling from the SFAI, something that hasn't been there in the past, West Cork is just going to keep going for now. And I guess that's the message to give to parents and players. We carry on as we have. We started in March. We're going to continue until we're told otherwise. It's unfortunate because when there had been so much talk, so many years leading into this, I firmly believe in it. I firmly believe in good weather, good pitches, opportunity to play midweek if you can't play at the weekend. But if we're forced to go back to the September, May timeframe that we've always used before, we'll wait and see. But at the moment, the West Cork Schoolboys League continues as before, but it is waiting for official guidance from the SFAI to make a ruling on all of this. But it's an unholy mess, Kieran. It's an unholy mess at the top. West Cork is just doing what they think is best for the West Cork players, and they'll keep doing that until they're told otherwise.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. Now, Kieran, we've gone fairly long on today's show with those chats with Jake and Fintan and with Ger McCarthy, all the McCarthys, including yourself on this week's show, which is nice to see, I suppose. So we won't go too much longer, but I'm expecting a pretty solid sports section this week. The summer is really starting to hit its not its peak quite yet, but we're on the upward
we're inching closer to kind of
the peak of summer.
Sunsea and football.
Yeah.
Sunsea and football.
So what's in this week's paper?
Plenty of McCarthys, which is fantastic to have. You can never have too many McCarthys, my mother always told me. No, good sports section again this week, Jack. We have a special feature on the Cork Ladies Football conveyor belt. It's just off the back of the recent Cork Ladies winning the Division 1 Football League title. So we're just looking a small bit closer at all the players that have come off the minor football teams in the last 4 or 5 years. So we talked to John Cleary, the Cork minor boss, about that. We've spoken to Cork Camogie manager Paddy Murray about what he feels is the need for change to the rules of the game, and that these changes need to be brought in now, like not wait till next year, bring them in now. Of course, we've Dunmanway Town's fantastic West Cork League Premier Division title win.
It's a mouthful, isn't it? The West Cork League Premier Division. You couldn't call it the West Cork Premier League. Anyway, that's beside the point.
That's one for the powers that be in West Cork soccer. Jack has spoken. So the West Cork Premier League, is it? Yeah. Good work. We've the Cork ladies won in the Camogie semi-final. Like I said, all the local GAA action. There's something for everyone again in this week's sports section. So go out Thursday morning, pick it up, and you will not be disappointed. And
I'll say it again, as I say every week, if you can't make it to a shop, you can buy the Southern Star online for less than €2 per week. Just go to www.thesouthernstartv.com thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper, and you can read that on your phone, your iPad, your tablet, your desktop computer. Some people still use those.
That's great value, Jack. That's less than a Magnum. You know, you think we'll come into the summer now when people will overindulge in Magnums. Like, you can read the Southern Star for less than a Magnum.
Well, on the topic of Magnums then, since you've brought it up, what would be your favourite one-off ice cream? Say, not if you're buying a tub in a supermarket. If you're just going into the local petrol station, you're filling up the car, the fridge catches your eye, you say, what's in there? What would you go for? Would it be Magnum? Would that be your ice cream of choice? Or would you be more thrifty and go for something along the lines of a Gully Bar or a Choc Ice?
It depends.
Save yourself that extra €1.
It depends how much coins in my pocket, but I love a loop-de-loop. Oh my God, you cannot beat a loop-de-loop.
And
especially the first layer with the chocolate on top. Oh my God! But then you're keeping the lime till the bottom, and it's just it's a treat, and it's value for money.
Value for money. And how would you eat it? Would you eat the chocolate around, like nibble it like a little hamster, and then when the chocolate's all gone, then you eat the yellow bit?
I would, yeah. I'd start with the chocolate first.
Just like.
That's an image now that I'm not going to forget. No, I would, yeah.
Well, look, anyone who's listened to this who's ever eaten a loop-de-loop will relate to that. That's how everyone eats it.
And a super split wasn't bad before, but just like it's like chocolate bars in general and all sweets, they're getting smaller
and more expensive.
That's exactly
inflation.
It. That's it.
Super splits were a personal favourite of mine as well. You can still get like a kind of a box of knockoff super splits in Aldi or Lidl or any supermarket. Joe, we're not sponsored by anybody. If any of them would like to sponsor us, but you can get,
Jesus, yes, in the box of Mr. Freeze's. They'd love a box of Mr. Freeze's in here in the Star, kind of.
Speaking of which, I haven't seen Mr. Freeze's in many shops around West Cork over the last few weeks. So if any person knows any shops out there selling the old school Mr. Freeze's,
let us know, please.
Yeah, put messages on a postcard.
The search is on for Mr. Freeze in West Cork.
And just one more question before we go from a listener. So from ice creams to something even more popular potentially, which is of course HBO series Game of Thrones, which is caught the world by storm, in particular the latest season. Like, it was always popular, but really and truly I've never seen anything quite like it. And we're going to give off no spoilers here because I know some people probably aren't up to date with it. I don't even watch it, but I do follow all the hashtag content online. And Kieran is a big fan. He actually dresses up as a character every Friday in work when he's going home for the weekend. May or not be true. May or may not be true. But
I dress up as a dragon, Jack.
A dragon. The Battle of Winterfell was quite a controversial episode a few weeks back.
Superb.
So superb. So you're in the camp that did enjoy. But my question to you is, did you find the fact that it was filmed in natural light difficult to follow, or did you think it was artistically worthwhile?
I thought it was brilliant. It was realistic to what it was. I think what's happened to Game of Thrones over the years, we've been spoiled by it, you know. Kind of, it was absolutely superb. Like, that was 55 nights of shooting. I think it took them to create the Battle of Winterfell. It was 82 minutes long. Just, I'm really showing the stats here now, but it was absolutely superb. It was dark, but that was part of the mystique of it, I think. You know, you were kind of struggling to make out what was going on, and that kind of added to the anarchy of the episode and stuff. And no, absolutely brilliant. I couldn't fault it. But I haven't seen the latest episode, which was episode 5. I won't see it till Wednesday night, so I'm staying off all Twitter, Facebook, and all such social media channels, just in case there's spoilers anywhere. So,
well, there you have it. This man knows his Game of Thrones. That's it, then, Kieran.
I'm steady because I haven't seen the last episode.
Yeah, so but then you're meant to wrap us up. That's your role in this.
That's my role.
In this double act.
It's double act. Anyway, as always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. So if you enjoy these shoes, if you enjoy these shows, I
don't think anyone enjoys those shoes.
No, those shoes they're absolutely cat, but our viewers can't see them, which is a good thing. So if you enjoy these shows, then please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to the show. Over and out. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.